Let me say something that might make some people uncomfortable in Tamale. It has to be said anyway. A lot of young people are not actually stuck in life. They are stuck in the story about why they are stuck. And the dangerous part of that story is that it starts to feel like truth. Now, before you react, I am not dismissing real struggles, but I am challenging something deeper, because sometimes what we call lack of opportunities is also mixed with a culture of waiting, a culture of hesitation, and a quiet belief that life must open up before we move. But let me ask you a question that most people avoid. How long exactly are you supposed to wait for life to give you permission? Because if we are honest, many young people in Tamale are not short of ambition. They are short of direction. That feels realistic. So what happens? You start strong, you get inspired, you plan big, and then reality hits. No capital, limited connections, few visible pathways, and slowly something shifts. You stop calling it, I am building something, and start calling it, I'm trying. And eventually, it becomes, I'm just waiting for my time. But here's where I want to challenge you. What if that waiting period is actually where dreams go to die quietly? Let's be honest. In our environment, there is a pattern nobody likes to talk about. People admire success deeply, but they rarely understand the processes behind it. So you grow up seeing results, not journeys. You see finished builders, not the struggle of the foundation. You see successful people, but not the years of invincible work behind them. And that creates a silent pressure. If it's not fast, it must not be working. So many young people stop too early. Not because they failed, but because they couldn't yet see progress. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes what is holding people back is not poverty, it is perception. Because if you believe nothing is working, you stop working consistently. And if you stop working consistently, your environment confirms your belief. It becomes a cycle, a loop that feels like destiny. But it's actually behavior. And I want to say this carefully but clearly. Blaming everything on the system can become a comfortable hiding place because it removes responsibility. It makes you feel like a victim of circumstances instead of a participant in change. But here's the twist. Systems are real, but so is response. So the real question is not, is the system hard? Everyone already knows that. The real question is, what are you still doing inside a hard system to create movement? Because I've seen something interesting. Two people growing up in the same area, same challenges, same limitations, and still end up with completely different outcomes. Not because life treated them differently, but because they responded differently. One waited for doors to open. The other started knocking on walls. Now let me bring this closer home. Think about a young person in Tamale who has skills. Maybe video editing, farming, fashion, tech, or music. They are not lacking ability, but they are lacking consistency in visibility. They work in silence, hope in silence, struggle in silence, and expect recognition to appear loudly. But life rarely rewards silent expectation. It responds to visible action. And here's another uncomfortable question. How many dreams in this region are not failing because they are bad, but because they were never given enough public repetition to grow? Because repetition builds trust, visibility builds opportunity, and silence builds doubt. So yes, there are real barriers, but there is also a mindset that waits for perfect conditions in a world that only rewards imperfect action. Now let's go deeper. What if being stuck is not a condition, but a negotiation between fear and discipline? Fear says, don't start until it is perfect. Discipline says, start so it can become better. And most people are stuck in the conversation between those two voices. Now remember this, many young people are not stuck in life, they are stuck in a story about being stuck. The moment you challenge the story, your options multiply. Not because life changes instantly, but because your interpretation of life does. But I'll end with this. If two people have the same environment, the same struggles, and the same opportunities, yet end up in different places, then the real question is not what is holding you back. It is what belief about yourself are you still refusing to question.